Welcome to the Damascus Encounter, another edition of the program where we bring to you wonderful experiences people have and how they encountered Jesus. Today we'll be looking at one of those stories of how someone, our guest on the program, had her journey into Adventism from a very nominal Christian background. I have with me in the house Mrs. Omolara Eboseli. Ms. Eboseli, you're welcome to the Damascus Encounter.
Thank you very much, sir.
Let's share and have a little bit about your background and growing up.
Okay. I grew up in Lagos. I was born into the family of four. My family was not a very Christian religious home. And at a point in my life, at age 4 or thereabouts, I was taken away from my parents to live with my grandmom. So I really don't know what happened in the house. And at a point, I came back and
Life continued.
Okay.
Okay, so that's a little bit about your background. You did talk about the fact that your mother was more of a religious person, but your father was not. Did that in any way affect you growing up as a person?
Yes, because my mom, she loves church. Okay. She loved God, and she was a member of the choir, and what she believed, she wishes to inculcate into us. But because both parties were not on the same level, it's usually dangling. We are either here nor there, and like that.
So sometimes you have to go to church, or other times you didn't.
Yes.
Go.
My dad hates when people are not straightforward. So sometimes he tells us that church, they don't really say the truth. So because he says that, we'll be like, why do we need to go to church anyway? And that affects us.
Okay, that's interesting. Interesting to know. Now, share a little more about your growing up. It was a little tough and rough. You had to live with different people at different times. How did living in different places with different people, how did it affect you, your worldview, especially having to lose your mother at a very young age?
Yeah. Actually, I started living with people even before I lost my mom. Yeah, I stayed with my cousin, but when my mom passed, I actually started knowing a lot about life. She passed at a point in my life. In fact, when I was to write my promotional exam into SS2. Okay. And you know what that is?
That's very painful.
Very painful. I could not concentrate. In fact, my education was done even at that point. I was only going to school. I knew I wasn't concentrating because this is somebody I wished to know, but I'd really not known her right from time. And at that critical time in my life as a teenage child, where you need to ask a lot of questions, there are a lot of development in your body, and you needed to know what this is all about and the other. That was at the point she died. And it really affected me because I had to develop my worldview about right and wrong all by myself.
All on your own.
Because when I feel this, I do it, people accepted it. Oh, maybe it's right. And I do the other one, people frown at, oh, that's wrong. So I had to take it the way it came. And that was at age 15. And I managed to finish SS3. And just because at that point again, another side of life, my dad took a leave, he left us. And we were left to survive anyhow.
So he left you and your siblings? This was after your mother died?
Yes, this was after SS3 already.
Okay.
Yeah.
By SS3 you mean senior secondary school?
Secondary school, yes.
Okay.
So my younger ones were already, okay, somebody adopted my elder brother So he was living quite far away. So my 2 younger ones decided to stay with him. But because I was working as a sales lady in a close by
Store?
eatery, yeah.
Okay.
So I couldn't move so far. So I decided to hold on. I stayed around. But the problem was, where will I stay? So my mom's sister stays a little bit, not so far away. So I decided to stay with her. Though I had friends around, but I told myself, I wouldn't want to stay with friends. I would prefer to stay with somebody at least who knows me so well. So I decided to go stay with them.
Do you want to share a little bit about why did he leave? Why did he, at this critical point and juncture in your life, why would a father walk away? Did you ever get to understand or know why he left you all behind?
I think looking back now, I realize he left because it has been the woman that has been standing in for everything that happens in the home. Okay. So when she died, he could not
cope.
He could not cope. He could not cope. That he couldn't tell us, but...
That was interesting. And if we move a little forward from now, he's left home.
Okay.
You had to fend for yourself, most definitely.
Yes.
Your brother, your eldest brother was adopted, had to live with somebody.
Yes.
So what happened to your 2 younger brothers?
Yeah, they were staying with him, and I don't know what actually happened. I think they had issue with the woman of the house, and he asked them to leave. So where would they go to? They had to come back to where I was living, and that again
is another long story.
long story.
Okay, but before we get to how rough and tough that experience was, if you were to recount, at some point you had to work as a nanny.
Yes, sir.
Helping people watch over their kids,
yeah,
when they are away to work.
Yes.
And stuff. So at this point, were you doing all of these, trying to do school, or you were just focused on working?
I was actually focused on working to survive.
Full time?
Yes, sir.
Now, at some point you had that offer, the man of the house, of course, whose children you were watching over, noticed that you were a good singer.
Yes.
So you sing very well. Why don't you tell us what he suggested and how you dealt with it?
Okay. Yeah. Because, I thank God because God is a very good God. He will never leave you empty.
Amen.
I have the gift of singing, and most times I sing to make me happy, as in, I sing to appreciate God amidst all trouble around me.
To lift your own
spirit. To lift my spirit. So I do that most times. I'm doing my chores, I'm singing, and he noticed I do this almost all the time, and he was like, I go for this program, West African Idol. Why don't I put you in and you stop wasting your talent, make money out of it, and be somebody?
And be a big girl.
Yeah. But then I thought to myself, if I should give into this offer, God's gift is not to be used for commercials. I believe that personally. And as a young girl who grew up living life on her own, I love being me. I love being free. So I wouldn't want somebody to monitor my movements, monitor what I wear, what I eat, and all of that. So I never gave him an answer, but I never wanted such a life.
So you basically turned your back on that juicy offer because it would have fetched you some money. It should have maybe made life a lot better. Let me ask you, if yes, your response, your attitude to the offer when he threw that at you, was it informed because of your religious beliefs? This idea of God's gift, now I have to commercialize it, I can't do that. Was that a result of the God factor in your life? I don't know, I just think you want to share that.
Yeah, I think somehow, because I told you my mom was in the choir, and I could see how disciplined their choir was back then.
Okay.
If you come late, you knew. As old as she was, having 4 children, you come late, you knew. And I'm like, is it so hard? Is serving God like this? So I think somehow, those ideas informed me to know that God's gift is to be used for God, not for commercials. Not just because I wanted to be free, but I think that part of God was there for me.
Okay. At the time when your younger ones now came to live with you, were you still with this couple that you were looking over their kids, or you were now staying? You were working on some other place?
No, I was still with them. I was still there.
And the space they gave to you was where your younger ones had to come?
No. Okay. I was only working there.
Okay, you were not living.
I wasn't living.
And
they offered me to live there, but I have a grandmom who loves to see my face every day. So I couldn't give in to the offer for me to live far from her.
Okay, but then that experience of 11 of you in one room, how was that?
God is a good God. Yes, 11 of us in the room. It was a very bad experience. It was very hard because I happened to be the darkest in my family, and the 2 other ones were fair. And when they wake up in the morning, you see marks of bed bug all over their body. And I'm like, wow, God, when are we going to get out of this? But no way out. We just kept living it. Living like that.
I find your story very fascinating in the sense that you went through a lot. In going through so much, I mean, you must have seen other kids in the neighborhood, people you grew up with, how life turned out for them and how they made progress. Yet yours was a little bit rough, difficult, as if hardly was there a time you had that much time to smile and say, hey, this is a good life. Did you at any time ask or question God? God, are you really there? If you are there, why are things this hard? Did you hit that zone ever?
Yes, I did.
So how did you?
I did many times. But what I do is cry. After that, I sing. And the burden seems lifted. I asked many questions. I won't lie. I asked many questions.
Was there any voice that maybe silently in your mind that says to you, it will be well? What kept you moving, pushing, hoping for tomorrow?
Yes, most times I'm pushed to the wall, like, what next? There will just be this space of God showing up for me. Most times, like I said, an episode in my life that I would love to remember, I was looking for a job because I needed to survive. And I went with one of my best friends. She happened to finish from a very prestigious secondary school.
Okay.
And, finishing from a public school, left to yourself. So we went for an interview. And growing up, I never liked mathematics. Okay. So we were asked to, because we were coming in for this space of sales girls. So we needed to do some arithmetic. So they gave us papers. And my friend, very brilliant, she was able to finish up. She did it very perfectly. On my own arithmetic, I had issues with it. I made mistake. But I don't know. I was chosen, but she was never chosen. I mean, she was not picked for that position. And her father was the one that rented the building to the fast food. So when she realized that, this is Lara I know very well, I'm better than her, she was like, what happened? And they were like, no, we prefer her. In fact, she started threatening them. But I was chosen for that job, and that sustained me for quite a while. And I see that as God's hand in my life. So at every time I'm hooked, God will open up ways for me. So I know that God loves me. I know there's somebody above that seems to be interested in my issue.
In your case.
But then things are hard. But then I know somebody is there for me.
Interesting. And certainly it was God. Let's come to talk about the big break.
Okay.
Or what led to the big break.
Okay.
You, at this point in your life, was attending a Pentecostal church, and there was fellowship, Bible studies, and so on. So you learned about God.
Oh, yeah.
But then, share with us what exactly your walk with Bible studies, how it brought you to where you are today.
Okay. So while I was with my mom's sister, like I said, my elder brother built a 3-bedroom flat for us in Ikorodu. That's still in Lagos. So we had to move from that one room to
a 3-bedroom.
A 3-bedroom flat, well furnished. In fact, the first time I slept on the bed, I rolled off and I was laughing at myself.
Very interesting.
This is me. So I joined a Pentecostal church while with my mom's sister.
Okay.
So when I moved, because I was in the choir, I located the branch of my church in my new location. Okay. So I joined, and church was keeping me up because I had to go to church every day. And, you has been faced with so many temptations. Now you have the offer to go to church. So God was just weighing off those temptations behind me. So I was fully into the church because I became the choir coordinator at a point, and I was going to church often. So a home fellowship was opened in the 3rd street to my house, and that happened to be my now husband's family house.
Okay.
So we hold home fellowship right there, and home fellowship is all about coming together, asking questions, wishing to know more. So then my now husband, he works in Lagos, but Ikorodu is quite far from the main Lagos. So he joins us, most times he's around for the fellowship. But I realized that his own Bible knowledge is far different from ours.
It's very unique.
Very unique, because he supports every of his contributions with the Bible. Okay. And most times then, when we go to church, I have questions in my mind, because when I look at the stories in the Bible, especially the story of Paul, it interests me to know that if this be the kind of Christianity that will take us to heaven, it should not be like Adiska the way we are doing it. So I was willing to know more, but how do I do that? So this home fellowship became an avenue for me, because when my now husband contributes, he supports with the Bible. When we talk about give, he talks about giving ourselves to God. And I'm like, something is different here.
This is deep.
So I became very interested in knowing more.
At that point, how did you become baptized the Seventh-day Adventist? Okay.
Something happened between him and the then fiancé, and they separated. So actually, he has been interested in me, which he told me later. Okay. He said he just wondered why I'm on my own, but yet I look very serious. I act older than my age and all of that. But then, so they separated, and he became my friend. So coming together now, I was able to ask many of my questions. Okay. So we started studying the Bible. The one that interested me most was the issue of the Sabbath, because while I was in Lagos, there was a Seventh-day Adventist very close to my house. I see them open church on Saturday while I'm going to work, holding worship, and I'm like, whether they have programs or something. Okay. I never cared to know. I never paid attention. But now when he talked about the Sabbath, the church, and many other issues in the Bible, because even back then I was still having dreams about my mom, and I felt she was still able to talk to me and all of that. But when we studied the Bible, it made me understand that the dead are dead. They can't speak to us. And I'm like, showed me from the Bible, and I was convinced. So I was interested in his way of interpreting the Bible. So at that point, he proposed to me. I accepted, and I started going to his church to see what they believe and all of that. So I attend on Saturday. I go to my church on Sunday. So, but then I was in the choir, and I'm the coordinator. While I listen to most of the truth on Saturday, I come back in the evening to share it with my mate.
Okay.
And I made them understand this and this and this, but I couldn't come out very clear because, it's as if, are you trying to drag us along? Are you? So I was not very clear, but because I had known the truth, the truth
was burning
in my heart. And so I was tired of the church because nobody seems to be interested in what I'm enjoying. And so I just kept it to myself. So I was going to his church and going to my church as well. But at the time, I was tired because you can't mix truth and error together. You cannot. So I was tired, but he told me, just hold on till marriage. You will enjoy endless worship in the Sabbath church. So we got married, and I was able to pull out totally. He happened to organize an open-air outreach, which I happened to be the Yoruba interpreter. And
he was the speaker.
He was the speaker.
Okay.
Yeah. So the call for baptism was made, and I came out and I was baptized. And since then, I've never regretted joining the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
Tell me a little bit about your husband. You and your husband, you are into this ministry, you winning souls for Christ. Teamwork brought you to baptism. Teamwork is making you do ministry together. What exactly do you do, this ministry, where you try to lead people to Jesus?
I'll say it is God working through us.
Okay.
We, on Mondays, even till date, we go out 2 by 2. We have other people who are
in your team.
In our team, 2 by 2. And we travel to places. Last April, we went to a village in Edo State, Ubiaja by name. We organized an open-air outreach, and it's been a very wonderful experience. An episode about this teamwork, this ministry, which I would say that it's now a big one by God's grace. What I mean by big one is the fact that then churches call me to interpret. There's an episode that my father was sick, and he was brought to Lagos to stay with us to recover. And it was getting better. And I happened to be interpreting for a church in Ikorodu somewhere. An open-air outreach was organized. So I happened to be the interpreter. So we leave him at home most times and attend as a family. So at a point he said, why don't I join you for this outreach? So he decided to join us. And at a point, a call for baptism was made. And he came out. I was surprised. Because my father, because he had made many mistakes in his life, and though he never came out clear, but I knew he was very sober and he felt very sorry for all that happened. But he came out and offered to be baptized. I kept quiet. When we got into the car while we were going home, I asked him, I said, Daddy, are you sure of what you want to do? He said, I'm very sure. I've heard about this church before. I love the way they say the truth. The truth is very, very deep, and I like it. And I wish to be part of it. So he was baptized. And a month later, he told me he was going back to the village because he stays in Ekiti State. And just after that month, he died.
Wow.
He never collected his baptismal certificate. But my joy in all of it is the fact that I happen to be a channel.
Yeah, through your own ministry.
By God's
Your
grace.
father eventually gave his life to Christ.
By God's grace. So it's
At that point, I guess all your struggles in life would fade to nothing, and you are grateful to God because He did so much.
So grateful. So grateful.
You know, people talk about, if I had the chance again to do this all over, I want to do this again. Would you want to travel this road, be with the same man, the same ministry? What's your take or feeling?
Yes. While I'm smiling is the fact that, my road in life has been a very tough one. But like we are studying presently about crucibles, that God uses crucibles to shape our lives. I think I would love to walk this path again and being with the same man over and over again.
Hallelujah.
By God's grace.
That's good.
I know it makes it easy.
You say that with a very big smile.
Yes, because life has never been the same. I know where I'm coming from, and I know where God is with me right now. Like I said, then in my Pentecostal church, I could only quote one Bible text, and that's Luke 6:38, which says, "Give, and it shall be given unto you. Pressed down, shaking together, running over."
Because it was always about raising money.
Yes, that's all I get to hear. But now I know better. I can at least put one or two Bible texts together, and I can talk about God to somebody. I'm affirming what I'm saying from the Bible.
Thank you very much for sharing your story.
I
am certain that someone who is watching has been touched and will be able to say, if God did it for Omolara Ebuseli, He will do it for me.
Amen.
Thank you for sharing with us at the Damascus Encounter.
Thank you, sir.
That will be all on today's edition of the program. It's been a delight having Omolara Ebuseli on the program. Perhaps the Lord has been calling you. Maybe you have those experiences and you are beginning to wonder, when will all of this be over? I hope today's story has made you strong and has encouraged you. Until next time, when we bring you another interesting edition of the program, I want to say, have a beautiful time watching Hope Channel and keep looking out for your encounter with Jesus. Bye-bye.